I like Star Trek. Specifically, I like the first 4 main Star Trek shows, the original series, Next Generation, Voyager, and even Deep Space Nine. Sometimes I even see an episode that I haven't seen before, and it's fun. That's what it's like to play this game. It's kinda like an old episode of Star Trek that you somehow missed. That's the motivation for this video. I've been having quite an exciting adventure playing the new survival mode. I posted about it on Reddit, and people seemed to like the story. It was an unexpected team: Geordi, Garak, McCoy, and the Doctor. An iconic character from each of the series made it onto the team. So, why not visualize that story? Can I beat my personal best of level 185? If so, which characters will get the job done? Well, let's find out. If you're not familiar with survival mode, you pick a team, but the options are randomized. Starting off with engineering, it's Geordi, Seven, and B'Elanna. That's a tough call because Seven is very good. Yet, since I did so well with Geordi last time, I'm picking him again. He creates cover in the first round, which is very helpful against the Borg. For security, I'm picking Garak. Worf is good, but Garak can stun in the first round. That's also helpful in fighting the Borg. Chekhov just isn't strong enough. While he can do a lot of things, it's just not enough to stay alive at this level. For medical, that's an obvious choice. It's Crusher. She's the best doctor. Although, the emergency medical hologram is pretty good too, especially in survival mode, if you can keep the doctor from dying. For command, there's not much here. It's 2 bad guys and Troy. She really shouldn't be in command. That leaves science. Again, not great picks here. Obviously, I don't play the Discovery or Picard characters. That basically means a choice between Jadzia Dax or Deanna Troi. Who would you pick? You can let me know in the comments. I don't like either of them, but I'm going to go with Jadzia. Now that I have her leveled up to 99, I'm curious to see if she can fight. Word is that they fixed an issue with the character too. Since I'm not expecting much from this team, I'm going to skip all the way to 181. That's the highest checkpoint that I have. And of course, the first fight is against the Borg. Crusher goes first. Since there's no one to heal, I'll just have her shoot one of the enemies. Geordi covers himself and gets a tech boost, while Garak stuns. I usually have him punch through a shield. As for Jadzia, what is she going to do? The scan is kinda useless. The Borg are fighting back. Not too bad. They didn't single out anyone. Crusher got hurt, but a quick heal fixes that. Geordi then protects everyone with his shields. That's basically the main part of survival. Not dying until someone raises the shields. Let's try Jadzia again with the Klingon weapon. Not bad. She looks like she can barely hold on to that thing, but somehow did more than enough damage to take out that Borg. The shields really help. That's what's especially nice about this team. Double shields. As Crusher's shields stacks with Geordi's shields. Now it's just a matter of doing enough damage before the shields wear off. That's another nice thing about this team. The morale is pretty good. That means when someone attacks, others are more likely to assist. That's a lot of damage. Although, that is a big downside of this team. They don't have a big nuke, such as Kirk's orbital strike or Seven's Omega destabilization. This team does have good debuffs though. Once they get started, they seem quite strong. There are 8 Borg to kill here, but only 4 characters to do it. Right now, it's just a matter of clicking through. And they made it. Survival is great for loot. So now we have a path choice. I'm not really sure if it makes a difference. I always pick the upper path. Ah, it's Romulans this time. They have speed, but not much else. I find that they're not as formidable as the Borg. Although, the team is taking damage. Crusher and Geordi should fix that right up. It's another win, not too bad of a start. As you play through survival, you can pick a power-up. This is not the best of choices. It looks like attack up is the best one of the bunch. It's more Romulans. Oof, that was so close. Garak was almost dead there. He took so much damage that Crusher couldn't heal him fully. Geordi should cover him up. And Garak gets his revenge. I like to stun the characters with the most health, so if I see a special character behind a shield, I'm sending Garak right at them. With the shields up, this fight's over. Oh wait, Jadzia could have died there too. Those double shields really help. But now I'm going to have to drag out this fight a little bit. The problem isn't just the current fight, but future fights. You don't want to start with low health, if you can avoid it. That's what's nice about Garak. He's a survivor, as he can heal himself. Crusher does a much better job for the group though. With a full heal, we can get out of here. Loot also appears along the path. It's usually not anything too exciting, but it adds up. More Romulans. That's not normal. Usually it's like 4 Borg fights in a row. So, about the loot. You can get pretty much everything from Quark's shop, if you have time and money. Items have a daily limit, so you can't just buy everything in one visit. The game really wants you to play every day, and since last summer, that's what I've been doing. I just like the game. It's fun. This is one of those games you can play while doing something else, as it's not super demanding. However, at these high-level survival missions, I do need to concentrate a little bit. That's because characters can die so quickly. In the previous survival run, Garak died in 2 quick hits. Like here, when it says risk level very low, that's a lie. Even more so when it's more Borg, and even more than that if it's the last battle of the level. The opening round is huge because you can't cover everyone, so you have to pick who to cover. I picked Crusher because she didn't have a barrier, and her health is not much better than Garak. But as you can see, that could have been a fatal choice, as Garak almost died. That's why stun is so huge. It lowers the odds that the Borg will focus on one character. Pretty much no one can withstand 4 Borg hits in the first round. Even if another Borg uses Cleanse to remove the stun, that's still one less enemy hitting you in the first round. From there, it's usually Geordi or 7 dramatically increasing the defense of the team. Another thing I try to do early is take out the cover. I suppose that doesn't matter much with a team like this, but it can be a real problem for big hitters like Kirk, 7, or the Gorn. If you're hitting for over 10,000 points, you don't want to waste that on a rock. There's Picard, Locutus, whatever. The point is that you don't want those special characters doing their special attacks. So I like to take them out as soon as possible too. And that's level 181. So, we know that survival levels are without end. At least, that's the word from the people that make the game. See the Kirk vs. Picard video for the direct quote. If the game is without end, and if you already maxed out your characters, why keep playing? Well, it's kinda like space. As far as we know, it is without end. Or at the least, we have no idea if there is a boundary to space. Yet, we explore, we look to the stars. Perhaps we'll find some enlightenment, a better understanding of physics, or the history of the universe. That sounds pretty lofty, but what does that have to do with level 182? Well, I wouldn't exactly call this a 5-year mission. However, the survival levels were previously broken. You couldn't get past level 100. So, that's the mission here. I'm looking to see what breaks. And as the meme goes, maybe the real treasure was the friends we made along the way. I used to talk about Star Trek with lots of other people. Now, no one really seems to care. That's another reason for this survival mission quest. It can get dramatic. It can get exciting. Maybe not so much with these easy Klingon fights. Sorry guys, I know that I probably wouldn't say such a thing to a real Klingon, not unless I was ready to fight. But in this game, Klingons are just not as difficult as the Borg. I have been leveling up some Klingons to see if they can make a good team though. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, the real reason for this video. Obviously, I want to build a popular channel. Yet, what makes something popular? It's astonishing to me that the internet isn't gushing with love for this game. It's really good. Are people playing it, but they're keeping it quiet? Years ago, it used to be embarrassing to say you like Star Trek. But is that the case today? People go nuts over baseball, football, and hockey, but you're just a spectator. Even just watching Star Trek, it was passive. While those life parables are interesting, and even educational, it's still not interactive. Here, I'm commanding a team. My decisions matter. That's what's challenging about survival. You don't get to pick your perfect team, so you have to get creative. Like Jadzia over there. It's very unlikely that I would have picked her, but she seems to be doing okay. And now that she's on my team, I have to do my best to keep her alive. Well, at least long enough until reinforcements arrive. Every 5 levels, you can pick from 3 random characters. So if this team is going to be successful, it means keeping all of them alive for at least another 3 levels. Also, I didn't pick a 5th character. That's a problem. But there really wasn't anyone to pick. I somehow doubt Troy would have been the cavalry. Here we are again at the power-up screen, and again, the picks are not so great. More morale is good, but it only lasts 5 rounds. Crusher already has red alert, so that means critical chance up. And more Klingons. This battle shows the importance of speed. While Klingons are usually slower characters in this game, the Torchbearer has pretty good speed, better than anyone on my team. So he gets first strike, and that hit Garak pretty hard. He's bleeding, but he should be okay. Crusher can heal, and Geordi can cover him. That should keep Garak alive. Did you see what I did there? I used Crusher's scan on the Torchbearer. I usually don't bother with scans, as my team can critical hit on their own. But scan can be helpful against the bosses, especially since Crusher's medical tricorder technique hits the enemy with a defense down penalty. See how quick he died? I was tempted to have Geordi shoot him, but getting those shields up is too important. Geordi has a great standard attack, which is why he's a really good pick. Garak stopped bleeding too, so that's nice. Yet I prefer to have Seven's cleanse in the first round. Although, here's what's strange about this game. If you have shields, you're not really bleeding anymore. The way the penalty works is that the affected character loses a little bit of health during its turn. However, if the shields are raised, the shield takes the damage instead. That doesn't really make sense, and it makes Klingon characters less of a challenge, as they tend to wound their enemies. I suppose that should be fixed, as it would be more scientific, and it would balance out the characters. Although, right now, I'm not complaining, as the battle was won. Here's some more loot. Each time, it's more survival credits. I have over 1 million of those. There's nothing left to buy. And more Klingons. Great. If these were all Borg fights, I'm not sure that the team would be doing so well, especially with the fairly weak power-ups so far. But getting back to the survival credits, what do you think? What should the developers do to give more purpose to survival credits? That's the tough part about balancing a game. As an example, I suggested that you should be able to pick the team you want by spending survival credits. This team is actually pretty rare. There are 3 good picks here. And Jadzia, she's not entirely terrible, so I'm surprised that I was able to get a decent team on the first shot. When preparing to make this video, I thought I'd be resetting the teams a few times before starting off on the adventure. That didn't happen here, but normally that's what I've been doing. So that's the developer dilemma. You want to make the game fun. That way people will want to play it. Yet the game has to be challenging. Randomized team selection is what gives survival mode purpose. So if I could simply buy the best team, the drama of Jadzia wouldn't exist. Is she going to be the first to die? Is she going to cause the team to fail? No. That mystery is making this particular run interesting. Currently there are 75 characters in the game, but I only use about a dozen of them. I've got my PvP team, my PvE team, and I've got a few other characters that I like. So, if I spent days of my life creating the 3D model for Jadzia, I'd want people to see it. I don't know what's the answer. Survival credits should do something, but what could that be without cheapening the survival challenge? Maybe it could be something as simple as buying rank up tokens for characters. Those are ridiculously rare in this game, but so important to being competitive. Basically, there are 2 level bars for characters in this game. The first one is standard for a role-playing game, and it goes up to level 99. The second one is the rank bar. That goes up to level 9. For high-level characters, 1 rank is roughly equivalent to a few levels, somewhere around 3. So, in other words, a level 99 character with rank 9 is like a level 120 character. That's a rough estimate, but that's what I figure based on power level changes. I might be overestimating or underestimating, but regardless, rank is important. So, leveling up characters faster with survival credits, that seems nice. That's basically the point of survival mode anyway, to level up your characters. And that's level 182. The Borg are back, and they're trouble, especially at level 183. Here I'm setting up my standard defense. If it's a choice between Crusher and Jadzia, I choose to cover Jadzia, as the tech boost helps her special attack. Now the Borg are fighting back. And here is where you can see why there's so much trouble. They can hit behind cover, but also, one attack almost killed Jadzia. That's over 4,000 points of damage. The problem is that I don't know what else I could have done in order to prevent that attack. I sent Garak to stun the medical drone because I don't want it to cleanse the effect, but that leaves the Borg assimilation drone free to attack with infiltrate. Sometimes you'll see that in PvP. A green-rated Borg will be on a team that's highly ranked. The first time you see it, you might think it's a mistake. It's not. That player is using a sneaky attack. This is probably one of the biggest design issues with this game, sudden death. Now that's not new to video games. In Super Mario Bros., it's quite common to die immediately. Yet that usually occurs when you make a mistake. That's not what's happening here. As Picard famously said, it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That's not weakness, that is life. But I don't like Picard, and I don't like losing. That's why I like Kirk. In general, he's an honorable Boy Scout, but if you put him against a no-win situation, he will cheat. Survival mode is that no-win situation. I suppose I could cheat the system, and I certainly have some ideas, but I'm neither Kirk nor Picard. At least we won against the Borg without cheating. And the next battle, it's not so bad. Cardassians are even less challenging than Romulans. Maybe Gul Dukat is trouble, but he can be stunned. The only tough part about fighting against Cardassians is that I feel bad for Garak. They did that well on the show. The writers dramatically portrayed the conflict within. Here he is, killing his own kind. But his own kind has gone quite mad. That's the kind of stuff that builds character development. It's probably why Garak is legendary in this game, and Sisko is not. Oh, look at me, I have a baseball. Who cares? The best lines on that show were from Garak. But hey, that's my opinion. Who do you like better, Sisko or Garak? Both in the show and in the game. I don't really have a memorable line from Sisko. Even Worf, my favorite lines from him are from the previous show. Good tea, nice house. Or he just simply says, guile. It's too bad Worf isn't legendary in this game. He's a great character. Anyway, we finally got a decent power-up. Shields are very helpful. That helps to prevent sudden death in round 1. Maybe if morale down caused characters to miss attacks, just as morale up causes characters to attack more, I might have gone with that. Although, can you imagine how awful that would be? I used to play a game called Phantasy Star 2. The second to last enemy used to have an attack that is very similar to a morale down attack. When it was time for the player to attack, only a message of crushed by despair would appear. That game is over 30 years old, but I still vividly remember the feeling of watching my team stand there and get demolished. Just like these Cardassians got wrecked. Anyway, here's some more loot. Power cells are actually useful. As I have an expensive habit in this game, I'll take a perfectly functioning particle, but get rid of it. The reason is that the stats are random, so I'll just buy a new one from Quark's shop and level up that. The one with the better stats is the one that I keep. What's a better stat? I tend to go with higher attack. I'd rather see more consistent damage than the chance to critical. It's the same with glancing damage. I prefer higher defense overall than a random chance to avoid some damage. The reason here is simple. There are so many fights. It's only a matter of time before luck runs out. Then there's just obvious stuff, such as the Gorn. He doesn't get much benefit from a tech boost. The point is that I get rid of all the particles, except the red ones, and even those might not stick around either if I don't like the stats. Here you can see how decent power-ups can really make a difference. The final fight of this level is against the Borg, but they didn't really do much damage in the first round. So, the rest of the fight is easy. And that's level 183. On level 184, I'm surprised at the enemies. They're usually not this easy. Look, Cardassians. Cardassians. And power up. This is a tough choice. I already have shields, but do they stack? Even if they don't, I want to reset the battle counter. Heal does nothing for this group. That leaves attack up. While more damage is nice, you can't attack if you're dead. Well, that's good to know. Power-up shields don't stack. Geordi had 7,040 at the start of the previous fight. While that information is useful, that's disappointing. Meanwhile, this level is really surprising. Look, more Cardassians. And more Cardassians. And more Cardassians. Well, that was level 184. Did you enjoy it? We're starting to get to my record. 185 is the number to beat. I have cleared this level before. It's not enough to reach the level, you have to beat it. That's kinda tough with the Borg in the way. They don't seem to be too happy with Garak either, as he almost died. Again, it's a tough choice. Only 2 characters start behind cover. That leaves it up to Geordi to decide who lives or dies. That's awful. Can you imagine what that would be like if it was real? Here I was thinking more logically than emotionally. I figured that the shield power-up would keep Garak alive, so might as well give Geordi the tech boost. This speeds up the battle. These battles are long, so the more damage you can do, the faster they go. That might mean giving up defense for more offense. Like this brilliant maneuver over here. The Borg is wounded and with extremely low health. Now, I could waste a turn to finish him off, but instead, I'm focusing on other enemies. The Borg then gets a chance to attack, but with high shields and Jadzia behind cover, it's basically a meaningless attack. And once the attack is done, the drone takes damage from the wound. We're up to another power-up selection. The choice is obvious, as one of the options is Cloak. Basically, that reduces damage, which is huge when combined with shields. You can see that it's working because the characters have a much different appearance, kinda like the Predator movie. Star Trek Legends is a turn-based game, which is why I'm surprised that I enjoy the combat so much. Going back to the Phantasy Star 2 comparison, old turn-based games were slow. While this game isn't exactly warp speed, it feels a lot faster. Being able to speed up the combat helps a lot too. So here's a question. If there was an 8x speed increase, would you use it? That was a bit of debate when creating this video. I was wondering if 4x would be too fast. Hopefully that doesn't bother you. The reason I mention this is because of the animation. When they're sped up, some of the characters have quite the sexual motion, especially when they're behind cover. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this up. But hey, it's almost 30 minutes into the video. Gotta keep the conversation exciting. All of those people that quit the video after 30 seconds, they're missing out. Let's not dance around the issue. Romance is a thing in Star Trek. A lot of the ladies are really pretty. And Kirk, he was always getting some action. Yet, I don't know, I was quite surprised to see the highly sexualized poses of T'Pol in this game. How did that get on Apple Arcade? Now, I'm not some sort of prude, well maybe, but if a character is going to be a bombshell, it should fit the lore. I remember a debate earlier this millennium when I was getting annoyed with how often T'Pol would be found with skimpy clothing. I felt like they were doing too much, like they were overdoing it for ratings. It didn't fit with the Vulcan behavior. A friend of mine got quite annoyed with my opinion, as he liked the semi-naked T'Pol. But back then I was thinking, we have the internet now. There are plenty of places to see many beautiful women not wearing any clothing. But in this game, it's more like Spaceballs, with Darth Helmet and his action figures. No sir, I didn't see you playing with your dolls again. If someone walks by and they see Seven standing there like it's a commercial for Victoria's Secret sportswear, it can be awkward. My point is that the eye candy is nice, but science fiction is what inspires the next generation to make fantasy a reality. We have communicators. Our computers are way more powerful than what most could imagine in the 1960s. Think about it. When Star Trek was new, humanity had not yet been to the moon. I'm just saying, it would be nice to see more storylines in this game, and perhaps in general, that inspire the next generation of great minds. Anyway, that was quite the tangent. Let's get back to the mission, especially now that we're on level 186. This is also a level where reinforcement is available. It's not the best of picks. That's not what I wanted to see. It's 2 blues and Kira. At least that 367 number is wrong. She's level 99 and rank 9, so she's got way more power than that. However, she's not very good against such high-level Borg. She's about offense, but she doesn't often do enough damage to take out an enemy on her own, not at level 185. Combine that with her lack of health and you have the making of a disaster. The next checkpoint is level 200. I suddenly think that this team doesn't have the ability to make it there. I suppose if Jadzia dies, Kira is a suitable replacement. Perhaps she's an even better replacement. Yet you don't want to lose anyone at this stage of the game, as once the deaths start, they tend to keep going. Now don't get me wrong, I like Kira. She's on my PvP team. It's disturbingly good. Garak, T'Pol, Seven, and Kira. I call that team Garak's Angels. Quite often, the enemy doesn't even do any damage. They might hit a rock, but I don't count that. However, PvP is 4 vs 4. Here, it's 4 vs 8. Even if you can kill an enemy in one shot, it's just going to be replaced by another character in the next round. So, if the enemy decides to pick on Kira, it's very difficult to keep her alive. I don't know, maybe it won't be so bad, but the outcome is inevitable. Someone here is going to die, and when they do, Kira is going to take their place. If Crusher dies, it's pretty much over, because we won't have team healing. If Geordi dies, it's pretty much over, because we'll lose the early shields. If Garak dies, it's pretty much over, because we lose the first round stun. So, can you imagine how Jadzia must feel? Well, let's stay optimistic. Maybe nobody dies. And with that, we're at the end of level 186. So, what do you think? Should the adventure continue? Would you like to see another video like this one? You can let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.